It's your man Reggie Florima, a.k.a. Big Flo, one half of the Big Flo and O Show, coming to you on this 4th of July weekend. We've been taking some time off, but good to be back. Oh, I missed you. How you been, man?
I'm good, man. Finally out of the hospital and feeling better. I know your ass is screaming on the mic. You must be feeling great today.
Man, I do feel good, man. It's been a while, man. I've had a little downtime myself. We won't get into either one of our particulars, but neither one of us is at 100%. We're both off of the injury report list, hopefully coming off. You know what I'm saying? No IR or anything like that. But it feels good, man. I was excited, man. 4th of July, that's all I can give you guys is Captain America today. I don't want to make any political statements on anything when it comes to that. But again, happy to be back, man. Pretty excited about who we have on for the show today.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and make a political statement. Fuck the 4th of July.
All right. Okay.
I'm gonna give you two dates. July 4th, 1776, and January 1st, 1865. Okay, and this is something I feel strongly about, and I realize I'm not supposed to swear. Pardon my language, but I just think as Black people, man, it's quite hypocritical that we celebrate the 4th when we're celebrating the year that a document was signed, which was July 4th, 1776. Announcing the freedom basically from basically the all men are created equal and our separation from Great Britain, but yet our black asses were still in slavery until 1865. So to me, it's a hypocritical holiday. I will always stand behind that, and that's just the way I feel about it. I'll get off my soapbox right now.
And I'm going to let you off that soapbox, and I'm not going to agree or disagree. We'll talk about that on a different show. How about that? But today, what we're going to talk about, we've got one of our brothers, a man that we both played with at the University of Notre Dame, that came out of Chicago just like us. Unlike us, he was drafted in the first round of the 1997 draft with the 21st pick by the Jacksonville Jaguars. Without further ado, I'd like you guys to give me a big round of applause for RENALDO WYNN.
Ronaldo!
Here comes wait. Here comes your applause. All right, there goes your applause. All right.
I'm broadcasting live.
What's going on right now, my man? Okay, hey, Nino, what's good, man?
Hey, what's going on, fellas, man? I love it, man. Love seeing you guys, man, doing your thing. I'm honored to be on this.
We're getting a little bit, hold on, we're getting a little static. I think you might be on the dial-up access service. Can you hear us, or you're a little delayed when you're speaking? Now we're frozen.
He's going to hear well.
He'll be back. They always come back. Guys. Ronaldo, can you hear us?
I hear y'all loud and clear.
That's fantastic. You know what? Without any delay? You're out there in the desert in that heat. Sometimes the microphones don't like heat and the camera doesn't like the heat of the desert. So we're going to do that. Am I too close? I feel like I got too much face in the camera right now. It's a lot of face. I know I got to lose a little weight. Let me back up a little bit. So anyway, I'd like to see you move to your right just a little bit, OG. But anyway, we got RENALDO WYNN on the show, you guys. D-line pride guy from Chicago. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man. You came up in Chicago, basketball city. Everybody, Michael Jordan here. Everybody thinks they has a finger roll. I know it took Oliver until his sophomore year of college to realize that he did not have the proper finger roll. I stopped freshman year of high school with my finger roll, but you maintain basketball, man. How did you end up settling for football over basketball coming up?
Yeah, man. So like all of us, man, with the Michael Jordan influence with the Bulls, I ended up, thinking that I was going to be the next basketball star. Being all the way back in the 6th and 7th grade, man, I was the same height. I was 6'3" in the 6th and 7th grade that I was now. So I thought I was going to be about 6'9", 6'10", man, playing against Antoine Walker, won the Catholic League championship, man. I never grew another inch, fellas. So,
right.
And the issue with that is being in grammar school playing center at 6'2", 6'3", who didn't think that, I wasn't going to get taller. So I never developed any skills to dribble the ball. I was just a post guy, just in the post. And then so when I got into high school, man, going to De La Salle, basketball powerhouse, wasn't too much football. I never grew another inch, man. So here I am playing against guys my sophomore, freshman year, You know what I mean? Now they 6'7", these same guys back in elementary school, and I'm a 6'3" center. And my coach came to me, the athletic director was like, "Hey, Naldo, how many centers are 6'3" in college or the NBA?" I said, "Ain't too many." He said, "Exactly. So your career gonna be short-lived unless you go ahead and really focus on the football thing." So there you have it, man. It clicked, man. It didn't take too much, put two and two together, man.
I think I recall the picture. I think you played the way through, though, didn't you? Because I saw a little picture that you had on Facebook with the little pose with the basketball. You look like you didn't quit that till you were forced to in college.
Ren, I had the same problem in. That's why I went from high school to college, and I played my freshman year in Notre Dame. I realized because I'd always played center that I did not have the skill level once I got to college for my height. But the one thing I do remember about you is you were freakishly athletic. Now, your ass has put on some weight since I last saw you. Well, obviously after a 10-year NFL career. I wasn't going to give you some heat about that, but I did too. But the one
hold on. As a fat guy, I got to stand up for that. That's unfair. So Oliver's feeling a little light today, so he thinks he can take shots at the fat guys. But he's got a membership card in his pocket too. That's not nice. That's unfair. We don't treat our guests that way.
Okay, more than that. But see, you jumped in the conversation before I was done. What I was gonna say is, in college, you were freakishly athletic, and I remember one time we were in meetings, and you don't remember this, but we were in a game. And you would either sack the quarterback or got a pressure on the quarterback, and then you did a kip up. You know what a kip up is? It's when you rock back on your shoulders and push yourself up straight to your feet. So,
and then we got a
quarterback. You roll back on your shoulders. You kicked yourself up and pursued the quarterback. And Turgo, our coach, was like, "Well, why can't the rest of you guys do that? Look at it. It means a cat." I'm like, man,
because we're all fat.
Right, I'm fat, dude. I can't do that.
And I got short arms. No, it was amazing. I remember, to be honest, it's crazy is Ronaldo. I remember you on your visit when you came to Notre Dame, and I remember, we were out there. UT Knight had that birdcage on his finger or whatever, and we were in the room, and you came in to play, and I remember thinking, I don't think this dude is going to be big enough to play college football. He's just so little and cut up and stuff. And you came back that summer swole, like you were already ready. I'm like, is this the same guy that was on this visit? And I tell you guys, the way he can maintain his body weight by consuming large quantities of meat. And I tell you, you see this dude when he was eating in college. Man, he could go.
Hey, I'm gonna
see Ronaldo eat is amazing. Go ahead.
I'm gonna say two things. First of all, Reg, I remember that clearly, man. You was at the house party. You had a cast on your hand, on your wrist. You know what I mean?
You know what? Fun fact. OG was DJing, but go ahead. I think OG was DJing. Fun fact. OG was the DJ. No doubt. Fun fact. Go ahead. Keep going, though.
And I remember you saying, "Hey, what position you gonna play?" Like, I think you said like safety or something. And I'm gonna tell you, man, I saw the look in your. I saw that. I'm like, man, people think I'm too small. So I went back. That's when the eating, it started from there, man. When I
became religious. Yeah.
I just took it to another level. And then I remember OG, because, being from Chicago, all the guys. Of course, I knew about you, Reg, being from Evanston. I knew about OG. I mean, you keep pride in all our Chicago guys. You know what I mean? You've been out there in Romeoville, and so I think OG, if not mistaken, he was player of the year, what I mean, coming out of Illinois. And then I'm like, man, this guy's playing basketball for Notre Dame. Like, you know what I mean? I mean, this is D1, big time. I never asked you, but how the heck did that happen, man? How did you end up
I used my football leverage to get on the basketball team. I told every school I would come there if you let me put on a Division I uniform. And my claim to fame is I had 8 points in 8 games, and I had a 3-pointer against Missouri and a dunk against Duke, but I was Mr. Garbage Time. But it was just fun practicing with them because, like you, I had respect for the Illinois guys, and I got to play with one of my childhood kind of like heroes, LaFonso Ellis.
No doubt.
But LaFonso couldn't stay eligible, so he wasn't on the team. But now it was a great experience, man. But basically, most people that came to Notre Dame were all dual sport athletes. You know what I mean? You were a basketball player, and I think that attributes to your long life in the NFL football. Tell me a little bit about when you first got to the NFL, because when I got out of college, I started having fun because they let you be an athlete. They let you do things that you didn't get to do. Tell me about when you first got drafted, your first training camp, and how you felt.
Yeah, man. So it was kind of in the similar sense where people would say, man, you too small to play linebacker. So when I got drafted as a D tackle. And that was kind of the knock against me, was like, man, you may be too small, you know what I mean, to play defensive tackle. So I just felt like, man, it worked for me back then. It's going to work for me now. I got to continue to eating, you know what I mean, take it to another level, you know what I mean? And so by the time I got to Jacksonville, I used to, you know, OG knows this. They would do weigh-ins. You know what I mean? The weekly weigh-ins. And there were always guys, it was always guys that wanted to try to cheat the weigh-in. Because, dude, they would fine you if you were under a certain weight or if you was under. OG knows what I'm talking about.
The fine, Ren. The fine was $1,000 per pound per day. So if you're 5 pounds over on Friday, that could have been $5,000. If they weigh you on Saturday and you're over 7 pounds, that's 7. They don't add 2. So yeah, you're right. I was one of them weighing. I was a scale guy. Yeah. I was in the steam room early, trying to get them off.
Right. See, so you trying to get them off. I'm trying to put them back on. And thank God, so Flo, the guy that would usually weigh you in was, of course, the weight room coach. You know what I mean? The strength and conditioning coach. He was the guy that had the list every Friday. You know what I mean? Guys would either be in the steam room like OG, or guys would be trying to down a few extra gallons of water. So for me, man, I ended up getting a little tip from one of the older guys. Hey, just put a couple of 2-pound weights on the side of your little 2-pounders. Put it on the side of your hip and your girdle. You know what I mean? And so I have been doing this, man, consistently until somebody ratted me out, man. Let's just say what it is.
It was a fat guy. You know it was a fat guy. It's always the fat guy. A fat guy said, that's unfair. I can't take it off. He can't add it. He's cheating.
Right.
How embarrassing is it to get caught with 2-pound weights in your drawers?
Well, the one particular Friday morning, he said, hey, I'm going to need you to go ahead and strip down, take off your shorts. You know what I mean? And you just got to have your girdle on. I said, man, we've been doing this for the last 10 weeks, man.
Right.
You hadn't told me to take it. Man, so there she was, man. 2-pound weights on.
Did they try to back bill you? Did they try to back bill you for all the other weeks?
I'm gonna tell you who I think got me. Your boy Yurkovic.
Yurko? Yeah, probably.
John Yurkovic, because he was already mad that they had 2 rookies trying to take his spot. It ain't like back like it is now, where you have young guys, you got to teach them out. Man, you had guys trying to got a little dog.
That sounds like a pit bull. Is that a pit bull or a hyena? I can't tell what it is. Huh? Does that dog come with a purse? I know it came with the purse.
That's my daughter's dog, man.
Now it's the daughter's dog. Little tough guy. Okay.
Hold on.
Get that dog out of there.
Let me get this dog out.
That's it. Get that pit bull out of here, man. You know pit bulls are illegal in Arizona. Got a little white dog. You should not have let us see that dog, by the way. You should have went behind the chair. That was the path of least resistance.
My dog just mauled a dog that looked like that, so I feel bad.
Tough guy stuff.
Oh, gee, what you got, a Rottweiler?
No, man, I got a Staffordshire Terrier, but technically it's a pit bull, and he broke the leash, and now I got who knows what hospital to pay. So now he's in jail.
Let's not create any evidence online. Let's not create evidence. We don't. Allegedly, he broke out. We don't know for sure. We're not quite sure what happened. Somebody claims he may have been a dog, but there's no witnesses. All right, this might be used in the court of law. Hey, let me stop. I wanted to ask you something, Ronaldo. Back up, because there's a lot of people watch this show at different stages and different levels. And one thing that we kind of glossed over was your college. Obviously, you came a first-round draft choice. You stayed for a 5th year. When you came out of high school, I mentioned that I thought you were a little bit light. You came in, you played drop linebacker, and then you kind of played rush linebacker, and then we got to a 3 technique, right? Inside nose guard, interior lineman. Talk about the decision to make that change, because there's a lot of kids today that get challenged and say, hey, we think you're this position, but you can play that position. You're a prime example of a guy that came in and played linebacker and got on the field linebacker, but made a move and became a first-round draft choice and had a 12 or 13-year career after that.
I'm going to tell you the truth. I think the biggest part was the only way I felt like that I can do it and be effective, because at Notre Dame, you are mostly not going to play the position that you maybe played in high school. And I think for one, I think Notre Dame did a great job in turning maybe linebackers, running backs into D linemen. And because, there was a precedent set. I mean, Flo, of course, OG, you were a linebacker in high school.
Right.
You know what I mean? All-American. Brian Young I think he was a linebacker, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean?
Yep.
DN that went to a D tackle. What about Jim Flanagan? If I'm not mistaken, you know what I mean, was a linebacker. A lot of these guys were linebackers, but then became linemen. So first, man, I think we all, one position that we were recruited to, kind of like a car salesman. They're going to tell you, hey, man, you're going to play what we recruited you at. But at the end of the day, I think because you guys set a precedent and you guys were able to go forward and really be successful at the next level, it kind of, I was upset, but then they kind of said, well, you know what? They were able to do it. I can do it.
Right. And then look what happens. I wanted people to hear that because, a lot of people will say, no, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this position, I want to do whatever. But if you love football, you love the game, you settle in, look at the fruit that you came out of it. Maybe you could have been a 13-year veteran linebacker, but hell, we'll never know. Which we know you did that with the defensive line, and that worked out great for you.
I mean, you look at the one story. I know this guy, he wasn't there when you guys were there, but I always look at the Hunter Smith story. Mm-hmm. Hunter Smith was an All-American quarterback from Texas. Y'all know Texas is big football. So he was able to do it there, but at Notre Dame, the guy didn't play quarterback. Lou said that he basically, I think he said a lot of other stuff, but basically he, humiliated him and told him to go down there and punt and kick because he'll never play quarterback at Notre Dame. Well, Hunter would tell you, man, that he hated Lou. You know what I mean? From that day forward. But this guy ended up playing in the league as one of the best punters for the Colts, won a championship for the Colts. Because what he thought was going to be the worst thing, like you said, he turned it into fruit and didn't, so many kids get upset, but he made the best out of it.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So, sometimes you got to make those sacrifices and to get where you really ultimately want to go. But you need to know, can you be happy doing that or can't you? And I think a lot of times you think you can. I'm sure Hunter Smith right now pops out of bed with a kip up and realizes it's not that bad not to be a quarterback. It's not that bad to just be a punter. Maybe he can remember the 3 times that they roughed the punter, and that was a penalty, and he had to get him out of there. So, I don't know, man.
It's funny. I got a buddy named Josh Miller that was a longtime punter for the Steelers, and he one time told me, everybody wants to be a punter except on game day and payday. And I was like, that makes sense. Because, punters get to go to kickers and punters get to go play golf during training camp. Right. You know I mean, there's only so much you can kick and punt in one day. So, yeah, definitely. Hey, Ren, I always had a question, man. What was your favorite franchise? How did you feel being down in Jacksonville versus the Redskins? Because I remember when we pulled up in Jacksonville on our team bus, way to the hotel, we saw you, and you were on your likeness was on the side of a building. And I'm like, damn, that's my little buddy. He's on the side of the building. You had blown up in the NFL. So what would you consider, and you kind of froze on the screen now, hopefully you come back, but what was your favorite franchise?
Yeah, the worst thing about Skype is it never freezes you when you look your best. It freezes you when you look half asleep. You know what I mean? Ronaldo's a much better looking person than you're seeing right now and what's frozen, so it's going to come back, but that's how it goes. Now, you said that you saw this likeness in Jacksonville or in D.C. I missed that part.
In Jacksonville. Pulling on the team bus, and Nike was running a big ad, like the one they had of LeBron in Cleveland. Yeah. But he was on the entire side of a building. Okay, in my NFL career, Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, I never got love like that. I was so the World Trade. Oh, he left. He's probably left.
But he's gonna come back though. He's fighting demons. He'll be back. He'll be back. He's fighting demons, doing whatever. So at least now, hey guys, I got a suggestion to change my background. I got my little Biggie poster back there. You can see it better now that there's just 2 of us on the screen. As a fat guy, I have to embrace all the famous fat people. So Biggie's on the background. Hope you guys appreciate that while we wait for Ronaldo to come back in.
Your wife gave you permission to get it. But anyway, no, I'm just joking.
I got a little permission slip from the wife. I don't know. You know what? So it's funny because OG's single. Like, that's funny. All the married guys are like, oh, cool. She's pretty cool. She let you do that? Yeah, we got to ask permission sometimes. It's a lot easier to ask for permission than for forgiveness sometimes. Sometimes it's the other way around. But this particular one, she actually bought it.
I thought it was the other way around.
Sometimes. Because here's the thing. If you ask, can I put the picture up, which I did, she actually bought it, which that was even better. But then she's cool with it, right? Because she bought it. What am I going to say? If she doesn't like it, it's too late. If I ask her for forgiveness, every time I come in here, there's another picture up there. She's moved it. We've got this silent, our silent battles you hear. I'm not going to turn this into a Reggie Freeman wife battle show. Laura Freeman, love you very much. Greatest wife in the history of the world. But, the picture would be down all the time, and I'm fighting her. So this time it was easier to ask for permission than forgiveness. So that's my little thing. Anyway, so Ronaldo, if you're out there in cyberspace battling.
Yeah, hopefully we can get him again. If you send him the link. But one of the things I wanted to did say is I want to send my condolences out to the Holtz family. For those of you who are watching, Coach Holtz's wife Beth just passed recently due to complications to, I think it was cancer, and she was an integral part of. She was an integral part of when we were in school because we always saw her. She held this man down. I just read an incredible obituary about her. And so Coach, Skip, and the Holtz family would like to say our condolences.
All right, Ronaldo's back. Ronaldo's back, but finish off your statement because you broke up a little bit, Oliver. Please, a lot of respect.
Oh yeah, no, I'm done. I just wanted to say.
Okay. That. Anyway, I agree, and I second that. Ronaldo, we're just giving a shout-out to the Holtz family and our condolences for Beth Holtz passing away this past week. Very unfortunate, obviously. Great woman, great powerful woman that had an impact on us, even though we didn't see her every day, just on the stories that we got from Lou and how much he loved and adored his wife. So, anyways.
Taught us how to be men.
So, Ronaldo, what he had asked you before was what your favorite franchise was, and then he talked about your face on the side of a building that looked like an airplane hangar.
Rand, do you remember that when they put the Nike ad, that big Nike ad on the side of that building? What was your reaction when you saw that?
Man, it was crazy, man. I mean, all of us have a dream, you know what I mean? And to have something like that, man, and then, you got to imagine that's kind of the post Michael Jordan era, when, Dream Team, right. All that type of stuff happened, man. Right. It was crazy. But the one thing that in the beginning that I kind of, felt like, man, wow, Jacksonville of all the teams, because it wasn't a known team, it was a new franchise. They weren't established. Unlike the Steelers, Bengals, all these other teams have an established, legacy, established following. I didn't even know where the heck Jacksonville was, man. I'm like, where the heck is Jacksonville? You know what I mean? It's at the top of the state. And then when you get there, it's grown, obviously, leaps and bounds now. But back then, they would call it basically, it's just like South Georgia. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So you in the sticks, man. And so, I go down there. But the blessing of it is, too, it's a new franchise, too, right? So they, man, just got behind the team, and really just showed so much love. And so probably if I would have went to a bigger market, that would have never happened. You know what I mean? But coming to a small team, man, like Jacksonville, they got behind the players, man, like night and day. You couldn't go anywhere without somebody knowing who you were, and then to have such a winning record at an early start, man. You had Mark Brunell. You got a sack on Mark Brunell. I saw that on the highlight, man. But,
man. I was good against Brunell for some reason. I just had his number. Couldn't sack anybody else, but I got Brunell.
Hey, one of the best, man, during that time. One of the top, southpaw lefty quarterbacks. And then, even, playing against the offensive line, which I felt like, OG, you probably tell me better than I can, but I felt like we had one of the best O-linemen,
Baselli.
Baselli. Yeah. Y'all know about Baselli from the
trying to fight the Reaper. Just relax and let him go.
People talk about Baselli, but Leon Searcy, because I played with him in Pittsburgh, had a heart punch that if he caught you in the chest, it was like somebody put paddles on your chest. Literally would bring you back from the dead. So, yeah, you guys had a talented offensive line.
I had to say this about Tony Baselli. This is the thing. Ronaldo Wynn, you're talking to a first-round draft choice. There's not very many people in the world who can say that, right? 12, 13-year NFL career. Wasn't a bust. He played very well. I remember when they drafted Baselli, like 5 of the highlights they showed were him blocking Ronaldo. Oh, I was like, Jesus Christ. So switch teams. Didn't you feel like for a while the NFL draft, everyone to validate your draft stats to see how well you did against Notre Dame? And, it was one of my guys. I'm like, man, why'd you have to show him to do that stuff? But Baselli was a grown man. And COVID is real because COVID almost got Baselli out of here. So if that could take that man, it could take a lot of people. It didn't take him.
And that's what I want to say. Baselli, people always say who's probably one of the best elite offensive linemen, probably hands down, was Baselli. It's just the fact that his career was cut so short because of injury, so he probably doesn't get the, his just due. But the dude, was a beast, man. I saw him destroy guys like Jason Taylor. The Buffalo Bills great, our boy Bruce Smith. Some of the greatest of all time this dude destroyed.
What's crazy? It's crazy. For you to say he destroyed Bruce Smith, people sleep on Bruce Smith. Bruce Smith had over 200 sacks.
Right.
200. Exactly. How do you get 200 sacks? You know what I mean? That's crazy.
Broke the record. 200. Right. Over 200 sacks, man. Bruce Smith broke the record, man, for sacks. Right. Only guy I seen actually Baselli have a hard time with was John Randall, man, from the Vikes. That was the only guy that I ever seen give Baselli a fit. But I agree with OG. Leon Searcy never got his just due because Baselli got a lot of it when he was at his top. But Leon Searcy was just as good, maybe even more physical.
Right.
We always talk about his D lineman getting thrown out the club.
Oh, yeah.
He threw so many people out the clubs. I'm talking about he had so many clears. I'm telling you, he would cave your chest in, man.
That's crazy. So,
yes, sir. That's my man.
So after this, your NFL career, which is good. Actually, before we go to let's go. After your NFL career, you switched over to NASCAR. Not in the real traditional sense. I don't think you're a pit team or anything, but you joined the Christ. I'm sorry, I had the name and lost on it. Please tell us what it's called.
Yeah, Joe Gibbs Racing NASCAR. In terms of it used to be called the Sprint Cup Series, but now it's the Monster Energy Series for the NASCAR Top Cup Series. So yeah.
Okay, hey, let me pause you real quick because there's other points about that we want to get into. But I want to know how many brothers were at them races when you went, man. Were you like one of two?
I'm gonna tell you, it was one of them things. You know how you go into maybe an area and it ain't too many brothers, so every guy you see, you gonna do like, hey, what's up? You know what
I see you.
The universal head nod.
Right.
For sure. And so it's like that, man, because there's not too many guys. So every guy you see on pit row, it's like you give them that kind of, hey, what's up, man? I see, you know what I mean? Like, I see you, brother.
Yeah.
It ain't too, and to give you an idea, OG, when I got hired to be a part of Joe Gibbs Racing, just to give you an idea, I was the only brother out of 500 employees at Joe Gibbs Racing. Yeah. Now let me add another nugget onto that. Because of whatever reason, then a couple of other brothers, we ended up winning the Diversity of the Year award for 5 years straight.
With maybe two black guys.
I'm just telling you. Two black guys. One of 2 of 500. But, wow.
I once won a bench press contest where I was the only person that competed, so I understand what you're saying.
Hey, man. God bless NASCAR, bro.
So what do you think about the changes with NASCAR? First of all, what do you think about the noose incident? The details I hear that it was a pulley thing for a garage, and they'd been there for a while and whatever. Just on your stuff, do you think it was, obviously, with the Confederate flags, I think that's super blatant. Was it that blatant when you're around? Did you get dirty looks all the time? You're not a little guy, but did you get dirty looks all the time and that? So give us your overall rundown on this situation.
You know what? When I got in, which I was there for almost 8 years, I never heard anybody say the N-word. I never heard it. Now, don't get me wrong. You saw the Confederate flags. That was definitely there. You know what I mean? And I knew maybe even in our own shop, there were people that didn't want me there. Mm-hmm. So I felt like I couldn't. I felt a little bit more pressure and feeling like I couldn't mess this up because, you know what I mean? If I mess up, then other guys that may be behind me may not get that opportunity. You know what I mean? And so I think And some guys, let me just give you a quick little story. So there are guys that, of course, you befriend, and because they hadn't been around outside of their bubble, maybe around brothers, right? You know what I mean? So they had a certain stereotype. I can't tell you how many guys came to me and said, "Man, I'm sorry." And I'm like, "Dude, what you talking about?" "Man, because I just thought, that you guys were like this." Or if what I mean, there were certain stereotypes that they had about blacks. And they apologized. And I didn't ask for an apology. It was just something that they felt like they had to do. One guy came to me and was like, "Man, I went on ahead and I had to put my foot down." And stuff that I didn't even know was going on. He said, "Man, for years we would say a certain term, but when you come around, now that you in the building, it's convicted me." And I told the guys, "We can't say that anymore." And I said, "Well, man, I'm not gonna get offended, man. What happened?" So he said, "Man, we for years in the shop as we fixing stuff, we would always say."
Nigga rig.
Exactly.
I knew that was coming. They're never late. Yeah.
That's exactly what they would say. You know what I mean? And he said, "I knew it was an issue because there were certain things that we would say that word, but then you came around and nobody said it. So, you know what I mean? And so if nobody can say it when you're around, then we knew that, man, we got to do something different. You know what I mean?" And so just changing, bringing awareness. And I really don't think they really thought, you know what I mean? Like it wasn't like from their sense, like they was actually, demeaning, you know what I mean? But it was just in their language that amongst themselves was in their bubble brought comfort. And I think this is what's going on around America today is now people need to come out of that bubble and kind of have some awareness like, hey, this is offensive. This is what's going on. You know what I mean? And so for us, as brothers, we've always had to adjust. But, now it's the other way around, you know what I mean, to be able, and it's all for good, right? It's not, you know what I mean? It's not to be able to put anybody on blast. It's not trying to make somebody feel uncomfortable. But, you know what I mean? If you just think outside of yourself, show a little empathy, and trust me, I know y'all want to talk about this Redskin thing. I feel a different way about that, though. I feel a different way.
Hey, we're gonna get to that for sure. Let's not switch yet, though. But I like where you're going with the fact that somebody coming forward and saying it, because to be honest, my thoughts on it with racism is there's gonna be guys with the Confederate flag, racist dudes that just are flat out. This is where they think they're gonna die. But there's those guys in the middle, like the guy that you're talking about, who thinks that so many things are meaningless and it doesn't matter. It's not a big deal. It takes a lot for the man to come to you and tell you that. He could have just stopped him, but he didn't. He had to confess himself to you and feel like, he had to fix it. And as much as people, hey, they'll condemn him forever because he used it, whatever, I think a lot of people have to change. There's a lot of times where, people just, if you've never been around a certain type of person, if you've never been around a certain race, a certain religion, if you're just in your, like you said, your bubble, it's just so easy to take things and just not question them because you're never confronted by them. But one person like yourself, you come and they meet you, and they just see how you carry yourself. And, I like the fact that you're not telling them that people say, well, you're different. They just look at you and realize, I'm wrong. It's not that you're different. I was wrong about black people in general, what I was thinking about. So that's the start. Right. But we got to go to the Redskins, though. We have to. We have to.
Well, real quick, let me touch on one thing before this because I think it's important. One of the things that people don't realize, probably about. Can you hear me, Ren?
Yeah, we're good.
I got you loud and clear, man.
Okay. One of the things that people don't know about you is that you're a very religious-minded person. Your faith is strong in you. And I used to tell my son and just people that would ask, people always think football players are a bunch of creeps. But I used to say football players are some of the most religious people I meet because in every team I've ever been on, they had a Wednesday prayer meeting. They had mass or some kind of service before Sunday. So tell us about how religion and your faith took a place. And one of the things I used to say is football players are highly religious because your profession is challenged every day. And if you do a poor job, not only do you have to get cut from a team and you lose your job, but you got to relocate your wife, your kids got to leave schools. So it takes a lot of faith to play the sport of football. Tell us how faith played a part in your life and does to this day.
Yeah, I tell you, man, faith played a big part. And I I'm not going to say I found my faith. I'm just doing a little quick transition so the phone won't get hot again, guys, if you bear with me.
No problem.
But faith came the truth for me at Notre Dame, man. And it came during the time when I was in the valley, man. And true for a lot of us, right? When we face hard times, we face adversity. That's a lot of times where we find our faith, or we find something that kind of gives us a purpose and gives us some stability. For me, it was right at that moment, man, when I was getting kicked out of Notre Dame, and I always tell this story to a lot of guys, even fellow teammates that I played.
Yeah. What?
What? Yeah, what? Kicked out of Notre Dame? What? What?
You gotta
Yeah, y'all didn't know about that.
No, sir. No, sir. What happened?
Yeah, man. Oh, man.
Can we talk about it, or do we need to talk about
No. It's all good. So that freshman year, because I still was undersized, I ended up redshirting that first year. You know what I mean? And so we all want to play, of course, but hey, I redshirted. I didn't get a chance to play like Bobby Taylor or Derek Mays, a lot of those guys that came right in and contributed. So it was myself, Cliff Stroud, and T. Knight, and Alton Maiden. Kind of all of us were the guys that were you kind of left at home when y'all played and went away, you know what I mean, and played in different games. That second year, I just didn't go to class, man. I mean, I think we all kind of fall into maybe that rut, but it caught up with me. And I got called into that meeting with the academic dean, and he basically just said, you ain't gonna make it here at Notre Dame. It was me, T. Knight, Alton. I think Stroud made it right, kind of like past that, so he wasn't in the meeting. And the guy was just like, you ain't gonna make it here at Notre Dame. And so I say that too because a lot of people want to say, oh man, you guys were athletes, just like other schools. You get past. No, not in Notre Dame. And I'm not saying that just because we went to Notre Dame, but they didn't give you a pass at Notre Dame. If you didn't do the work, you weren't gonna get in. And so that's when it kind of hit me, man, because I'm like, man, we're about to get kicked out. You know what I mean? And so in the midst of all of that, man, is when I kind of just got on my knees and was like, man, God, he got to help me stay here. Now, y'all know T. Knight got kicked out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Alton Maiden got kicked to Holy Cross.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I busted my ass. Yeah, I busted. Go ahead.
To your testament, I got put on academic probation because my teammate Oscar McBride had all of the work for the class. So I would just come in, throw a paper in, and then when we went to the bowl game, Demetrius, our academic advisor, said, "Hey, OG, I need to talk to you. You're getting an I for that class that you did not show up to because you showed up 15 days." So you're right about that. Notre Dame was not cutting any corners with that.
Right.
I will say.
So you talk.
I want to testify for I know that sounded cliche, but I hung with Ronaldo was one of my main guys, right? One of my little brothers that came in, so we were together all the time. And I tell you what, I noticed the change when Ronaldo found God and he really became faithful. Ronaldo was the guy that you would go out to the club with, no matter what the city was. You'd be at the club, and he would say, "Stay here," and Ronaldo would go talk for about 2 or 3 minutes, and the next thing you know, we're in VIP. And he'd be like, if anybody asks, you're Bruce Smith, you're Reggie White, and you're so-and-so. And Ronaldo would get you right in the club. He kicked it like nobody else. You were always cool if Ronaldo came with you. He'd find a way in. But, man, I graduated school, and I noticed you started to become more faith. You get married. You started getting a family. And I personally think that has a lot to do with your NFL success because the way that we were kicking it and hanging out and carrying on, something had to give, right? And that gave, and you changed your life all the way around and look at, where it came. So a lot of people have faith and a lot of people have their story. But just as being a really dear friend of Ronaldo, I can say that I saw a change that definitely impacted his life on the field. So,
well, the other part is, you brought it up, Reg, too. The other part to that was when I got on my knees and prayed, I asked God for a wife because, you can utilize that platform to do so much. Mm-hmm. So much damage the other way around, right? And man, and so meeting my wife was a part of that. Being married in college, kind of gave me some, a level head and being grounded, And so, like you said, going into the NFL, where
if whatever you were struggling with, you hadn't dealt with, because that thing gonna get magnified probably exponentially.
Amen.
You know what I mean? And we've seen so many guys because other things get them distracted. You know what I mean? They always say it's one thing to get to the NFL, but it's one thing to stay. It's even harder to stay in the NFL. OG, you played, what, 10 years? Unbelievable. You know what I mean? Amazing. I mean, the average career is 2.2 years because there's so many distractions, man, to throw you off course. And guess what? You got another however many guys getting drafted to take your job. That's why Jurkovic was trying to set me up because he knew I was there to take his job.
Right. You know, I think it was a blessing that you got married so young because a lot of us that were single, we had to have to go out and do dumb stuff, which could lead to being not focused. But I'm sure your wife kind of held you down. When you got to come home to wifey, it's a whole different player. There were the single guys, and then there were the guys who were married. And I think the married guys actually had more longevity because you're not out on, that Monday night when you know you got Tuesday off. Woo, you're trying to throw your ball over the fence. But if you got to go to the crib, that ain't gonna happen.
Now you mentioned 10 years in the NFL. Now I'm warming you up for the hot seat for this question about the Redskins. But funny, when you that 10 years in the NFL, your wife threw a celebration, and this is my funny story, Ronaldo. So she wanted someone to come out represent his life in Notre Dame and speak. So I got to go out there and go first. So it was myself, Mark Brunell, Greg Blage, and I think Lavernius Cole's mom. Is that right? Somebody's mom. Yep. They were speaking. I'm so happy I go first. So, if you guys know me who are watching, I like to tease people and make fun of it. So I'm practicing my lines. I got a room full of NFL people. I know I got to be good. I got a new suit, new tie. And I'm in there roasting Ronaldo. I'm talking about his eating habits. I'm talking about all the stuff Ronaldo's done. It's crazy. And so I get down there and was laughing. The next three people talked about how Ronaldo introduced them to Jesus Christ. And I thought, oh, my God, am I so glad I went first? I thought this was a roast. Everybody else was like, Ronaldo said, Mark Brunell, I prayed with him, I did this. Coaches, I'm like, oh, if I would have went last, I probably ran out the room. But that was so much fun that day. We had to go do that. So
no, but I'm so glad you did because it broke the ice, man. Dude, it was hilarious, man. I mean, I wish we could have recorded it, man, because it was, hey, OG, it was like I don't know, it was like the comedian, man, I
thought it was a roast.
Hard.
Don't you think it was a roast?
I can imagine. Here's my question. Was the bar open before Reggie started talking? Because if you give Reg,
probably.
He's like a superhero. His superpower is when he's talking ish, as he goes along, he gains strength.
Probably.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And you put a couple of sodas in him?
Probably at least a few.
Sure
it was probably at least a few. We did it though, but it was great. I was happy to be part of it. But that's the transition because you were with the Redskins at the time, right? This was before your time with the Omaha Nighthawks in the UFL that I saw, which is funny. I thought about the Omaha Nighthawks, so we will have to save some time for that. But let's talk about this Redskins thing. So let's try to bring it serious for a minute. I mean, you look at the offense and different things there, with the Confederate flag. You get people trying to claim that the Confederate flag isn't a symbol of hate. It's a symbol of this. And there might be some people dumb enough to think that that's the case because of the way they were introduced to it. But I think they need to look beyond the fact that whatever silliness that you think it's associated with, this is what it really means. So when you look at the Washington Redskins, which was one of my teams as a kid, I loved John Riggins as a kid. I was, a great Redskins. But you got to take a look at it. My son's high school was the Naperville Central Redskins. Now they're the Red Hawks. They made a change a few years ago. It's high school. It's not a major multi-billion-dollar logo, not a major thing, major foundation. But it sounds like you have a different opinion about the time for change, and I'd like to give you that platform. I think there's a time for change because you can't ignore what it really says.
Well, there's just a few things that, I want to kind of implement, and I'm all for it. My whole thing is this. We can speak to what offends us because, black people, because we black, right? You know what I mean? But I just want to just be able to put, a platform out for Native Americans to speak on it. And I'm not just talking about one guy or whatever, but there's a statistic that they had in 2015, and the statistic was that 75% of all Native Americans are not offended. And not only that, but the history of the Washington Redskins and the logo. was created by Native Americans. You know what I mean? Not to mention, guess what? The number one team, Pop Warner team, that Native American that is used on reservations, the Redskins. So I'm just saying, you know, hey, at the end of the day, if it's offensive, you know what I mean, and they've had a change of heart now, and you know, they need to, and okay, then great, you know what I mean. But all I'm saying is that they told me, Native Americans out of their own mouth said that they felt like the name brought them more of a pride, relevance, strength, honor than something being derogatory. So, I mean, maybe it's changed. Maybe I'm out of the loop.
No, I think it's fantastic you're saying what you're saying right now, because we are other people, because I've seen people say, well, the Fighting Irish should change. And I say to myself, I've never heard of an Irish person that I know more Irish people in Chicago with the Fighting Irish tattoo that's probably never been to South Bend. They take pride in the Fighting Irish. So who am I to say they're offended? So I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I would just make the assumption that they were offended by it. But if you're telling me that they've actually done research and they're not, who the hell am I to say different? Sorry, Oliver, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I kind of look at it as how young black kids love throwing around the word nigga. And we shouldn't use that word as grown men. Right. But sometimes in our vernacular, we use it. I think it's an ugly word. I think Redskins. Right. I had a sociology class, and this was the first time that I was introduced to that in 1990 at Notre Dame. It was sociology of sport, and I remember one chapter of it had to do with how would you want to call yourself the Atlanta Crackers or the Tuscaloosa Negroes and stuff like that. And it made me wonder. I'm saying, look, man, I don't care if they've got 15 studies. Get rid of that. It's too late. It's just bad. You know, we wouldn't be called the Tuscaloosa.
Hold on, OG, you froze. Hold on. All right, OG froze up real quick. Oh, yeah, go back to Tuscaloosa. Go ahead.
He's back.
Okay, I'm just saying, you wouldn't want to be known as the Birmingham Black whatever.
Yeah.
Get rid of it, man. It's a simple thing. It's a logo. Plus, you'll sell another $1 million of jerseys in the new logo to the uniform. You know, call up Nike, have them come something fresh. You know, we shouldn't even be having this conversation. Just like the Confederate flag, man. Just change it. Change it.
Yeah. Anyway. I think you got great insight though. Ronaldo was saying that if you're saying that it's a source of pride to some people, because when everyone's telling me we should get rid of Fighting Irish, I laugh. I'm like, that's laughable, because I've never once heard an Irish person ever think anything other than that's their favorite team because they're called the Fighting Irish. So, to your point, Oliver, I understand. You're like, okay, let's just get rid of it. But now are we being too PC? Because again, unfortunately, I don't have a lot of Native American people in my life to even ask the question. But if we are getting rid of it because of some other PC agenda that we're trying to do, and there are people who really like it, I agree. I have to say it's just like the Fighting Irish. No one's gonna get rid of that name because no one dislikes it. So that's a good insight on that.
And I gotta say I am surprised. I think the name is gonna be changed. You know, this whole week I've had conversations, and I'm like, it's never gonna happen, because I know Dan Snyder's stance. He said out of his own mouth the name will never ever change. Now, I just read some recently.
So it's a Nike Line 1. Nike Line 1.
Nike Line 1. The money, apparently the money talks, man, because FedEx, who is the big sponsor of the stadium rights, as well as other things that they're doing with the Redskins, and then you talked about the Nike. They're pulling all the merch. You know what I mean? You can't even, I went online just to even see if it was on there. There's no Nike merch with Redskins. Nothing. They pulled the whole line. So now you're talking about, like OG said, millions of dollars in jerseys, all these other things. Now that's getting pulled. So now Dan Snyder is saying, okay, we're going to talk about it. And even Ron Rivera, who I wasn't even thinking about it, but Ron Rivera is a Native American.
I thought he was Hispanic. What I mean?
So, well, I thought so too. But he said something the other day about, you know what I mean, a Native American heritage, you know what I mean? But maybe but if you look at him, he look more Native American than he do Hispanic. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess so. It's just Rivera, so it sounded Hispanic to me. But what do I know?
Yeah.
So I mean, I look at it like this. I see your point about being too PC, but let's face it, we're in a different era than we were, and things have to evolve. Just like when you were a kid, how many times did you use the word faggot? Oh man, you faggot.
Never.
You didn't think about it, right? But now,
Right.
if you say faggot on TV, you will be blackballed worse than saying nigga.
That's true.
You cannot say that. It's just you got to change with the times.
I've never said
I
that.
think I've said it a lot, and I apologize for it. But I was young and stupid and didn't think about it. I use the word nigga all the time. Well, I use jigger, and I'm trying to get out of that. And you hear it in every other song. Then all of a sudden you see white kids you hear singing the song and they say it, and you want to get all mad at them. So we all have to grow and we have to evolve. The NFL is the same way.
Hard to argue those points, my friend. Hard to argue those points. Some things just been the same way forever, and that's not good enough. And we're seeing that we're a powder keg as a country, and it's not good enough just to say it's always been that way. Mississippi, if Mississippi's taking down that flag right now, it's making people roll over in their grave and they're doing whatever, and that's been there forever unchecked. I do think so. So we do have to make change in this country. Things to get better. I don't know. It's a very interesting subject. But Ronaldo, you got my head spinning because I never even thought for a minute that they did a study and that they found that out. So anyway, I have to say to talk one more thing before we kind of wrap up. I did look at this Omaha Nighthawks in the CFL, UFL. What was that story? Were you just looking for a new jersey or something, or like you?
Hey,
I had no idea. I
know. Hey, Wikipedia, take that off, man.
You can take it off. That's editable. Well, go ahead.
No, you know what, man? I think the biggest transition for anybody that's played the sport, whether it's college, pros, is not being able to play the game you love. I think it's a transition for every person, for you, Reg, for myself, for OG. When you get to that college level, and then from high school is different, you know what I mean? Because you know guys, I ain't gonna make it anyway. But when you play college and pro, and then to be like, man, now it's over. You know what I mean? To play at the highest level, I think that's the biggest transition. You don't want to let go. You know what I mean? And I really had let go at that time, but there was a guy that called me who was at the Jaguars who was starting a new league called the UFL. I was done. And he called me and said, hey, man, I want you to come out and play for the Omaha Nighthawks. The Omaha who? Where's Omaha? Nebraska? Where
by Jacksonville. Yeah. Go ahead.
Right. And I said, man, I'm done, man. I'm hanging up the cleats. This is what got me to come off the couch. He said, hey, man, we got some great players here, man, and we want to just come give you an opportunity so maybe you can get back in the league, because how I finished out of the NFL, and OG will tell you, nobody leaves the game usually on their own. I would say 98% of the guys never leave the game.
There's one person. One person I've seen actually retire in his hometown at the Super. Jerome Bettis. That was the only person I've ever seen. Everybody else, like they say, how did you leave the NFL? I say, I got old, I got hurt, and I got cut. That's it. Go ahead, Brandon. I didn't mean to cut you off. That's so true.
No. I appreciate you bringing that up, because that is the reality of the NFL. You're going to get old, get cut. They're going to tell you one or the other, and it hits your you know what I mean, your ego, man. And so this guy is now building my ego up, saying, hey, man, we got Garcia, the quarterback, Jeff Garcia. I'm like, Jeff Garcia on there? Yeah. We got Ahmad Green. Ahmad Green, he on the team. Hey, we got Cato June. All these guys were on the team. You know what I mean? Like, hey, man, let's come on out. And then they said, we got a state-of-the-art facility, $1 million facility that we could train at. And where you're going to be staying is at the unbelievable resort, the Cocoa Keys. Now, if you've never been to Omaha, Nebraska, you like, I see OG like, man, the Cocoa Keys are so I'm like, man, this is unbelievable. Yeah. I show up. I decide, my wife say, don't do it. I said, I'm going to do it. I go out there, man. I show up at the Cocoa Keys. It looks like the Psycho Hotel, man, on the side of the road. And everybody's laughing like they got you, didn't they? They told you about the Cocoa Keys. Hey, I had to move out immediately. It was a roach-infested old hotel resort. And then the $1 million facility, guess what that was? That
the
was
YMCA.
One step up. The Croc Community Center in the middle of the hood. So I'm doing leg press because we had to get in our little workout in between. And I'm sharing the leg curl machine with a 75-year-old senior citizen. Ma'am, you mind if I jump in with you on the left?
And she got an ankle monitor on, yeah.
Let me grab a set.
Well, hey, were the players there that they mentioned, those guys? Was Ahmad Green all them there?
All them guys were there, but they all said the same thing. You got bamboozled. They got you.
They got you.
I mean, and I was like, man, let me get out of here, man. I mean, it was horrible.
At least that helps you close the door. You're like, you know what? Okay, I am officially done with football and be done with that stuff. So
I'm done.
Anyway,
I'm done. Yeah.
Well, Ronaldo, man, this has been a great time. We went over. I hope we didn't take you away from anything. I know that pit bull probably needs to be walked. You defeated a side of beef. You had to feed it, train that thing to kill and bite jugulars or something like that. But I love you, man. It's great to see you, man. This is a great time, man. Oliver, any words of encouragement before we leave?
Ladies and gentlemen, Ronaldo Wynn. Thank you, Ren, man. Good seeing you, bro.
Appreciate y'all.
I've been seeing you for about 20 years, man. Let's not let it be so long until we see each other again, man. Love you, bro.
You're right, man. Love y'all, man. Love you guys.
We out.
Andy fan.
And we go finish with Lil Isleys.
But now the day has come. But let you know where I'm coming from, yeah. You know what you done for me.